Guys, welcome back to another episode. It's that time of the week again, my favorite day of the week, man. Time for round 2 predictions of the Super Rugby Tournament 2020. Let's jump into it. Let's go. So game 1 of the weekend is the Highlanders against the Sharks, and this is going to be a big game. So this game is being played at Forsyth Bar Stadium at the Highlanders. This tournament hosted 4 matches in the 2011 World Cup, when it was held in New Zealand. It also got a capacity of 30,748 people for rugby matches. But it can be increased to 36,000 people. That's mainly for concerts and stuff like that. This is going to be a good one. The Islanders had a bye last week. The Sharks was victorious against the Bulls. But, being at the Islanders, I'm going with the Islanders by 4. I do think the Sharks will still walk away with a losing bonus point on this one. Game number 2 sees the Brumbies up against the Rebels. So the Brumbies, victorious last week against the Reds, just managed to sneak in that 3 points win. Rebels quite disappointing actually against the Sunwolves last week. I'm sure they're going to want to have a better game this week. Although it's in Canberra, I'm not going to review this stadium as I already did it last week. So if you want to see more about the stadium, check out my week 1 prediction. But for this game, I'm going Brumbies. I said Brumbies by 12. Quite a big margin, but I don't think the Rebels is going to be close to the Brumbies. No man, game 3. The Chiefs against the Crusaders. This will be game of the weekend, no doubt about it. And it's being played at Waikato Stadium, which is the home of the Chiefs. Okay, so the total capacity of this stadium is 25,800 people in Hamilton, obviously. However, it can also be extended to 30,800 seats, but obviously for this rugby game they'll keep it at 25,800. So it's a bit small, but it's a decent stadium. It's going to be a crack of a game. I'll actually go and say half-time Chiefs, but I think the Crusaders is going to walk away with this one. I reckon Crusaders by 5 points only. Game 4 of this weekend sees the Waratahs up against the Blues. Blues looked good last weekend, didn't get the win though. Waratahs struggled a bit against the Crusaders. However, this weekend it's at the Waratahs at the McDonald Jones Stadium. So McDonald Jones Stadium is also the home of the Newcastle Knights in the National Rugby League in Australia. It's got a total capacity of 33,000 people. I think it's a very good size for a stadium. I like stadiums that's usually between 30 and 40,000 people. You can fill them up. And then a lot of people wondered who owns this stadium. And I've got to tell you, unfortunately, it's the government, man. The government owns the stadium as they own most of the good stuff in life. Anyway, for this game, I'm going Blues by 8 points. Next game, Lions versus Reds at Ellis Park Stadium. Let me tell you something. If this was 2-3 years ago, it would have been a walkover for the Lions. Before I give my prediction on this, let's have a look at this iconic stadium, man. So Ellis Park Stadium obviously hosted the very famous 95 Rugby World Cup final between the Springboks and New Zealand, when South Africa was victorious 15 points to 12. This is the same tournament that turned rugby into a professional sport. Yeah, that's right. Before that, it was just a hobby that you'll do, after work with your friends or whatever. This stadium has got a total capacity of 62,500 people. Alright, so it's a very big stadium. I have to say, I haven't seen it filled up for many years now. I think it was only filled up when the Lions was in the Super Rugby final. I think it's 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, Reds versus the Lions. So if you have a look at the performances last week, the Reds narrowly losing against the Brumbies, and the Lions 38 points to 8 to the Jaguares, although they had a pretty good first half. I'm actually going for upset on this one. I'm going for Reds by 7. Game 6 of the weekend sees the Stormers up against the Bulls at DHL Newlands. Again, I'm not going to review this stadium. I did it last week. Check out my week 1 prediction for more info on the stadium. However, there is one new fact on this stadium which is very sad. They're closing this stadium, man. They're closing this stadium, if I'm not mistaken, is end of June this year coming. So what's going to happen is Super Rugby is finishing. The Springboks will have only one test against Scotland on this stadium, and that will be the final game. How sad is that? It's going to be an epic battle to see Damian Willemse up against Morné Steyn. I know these two players have two very different ways of playing the game. So Morné Steyn obviously being the more physical one, which is more consistent with the boot than Willemse. But Willemse, very good. I mean, I said on my review on Sunday that they're supposed to play him on fullback. You know, I think he'll do much better there. But it's still going to be very good to see the different styles of the game being played between these two fly-offs. My prediction for this game, I went Stormers by 10. Not only because it's Newlands, just because the Stormers looks brilliant at the moment, and their defense last weekend was outstanding. 7th and final game of the weekend sees the Jaguares against the Hurricanes in Argentina. Also, again, I did the stadium. You're welcome to go and have a look at it. I think the question here is, can the Hurricanes bounce back after the defeat against the Stormers last weekend? And my answer to this will be no. I don't think the margin will be this big, but I still think Jaguares is going to pull it through, and I went Jaguares with 10 as well on this one. Alright, so let's have a look at the logs after week 1 of the tournament. Let's start with the Australian Conference. Sunwolves on top, man. I never thought I'd see this. Brumbies 2nd place, Reds 3rd place. However, they did manage a bonus point from the Brumbies game. Rebels 4th, Waratahs 5th after that big loss against the Crusaders last week. The New Zealand Conference, we got Crusaders 1st, also obviously after the win against the Waratahs. Chiefs 2nd, Highlanders 3rd, but they haven't played yet. They had a bye last week, so they're still on 0. Blues 4th, Hurricanes 5th. In the South African Conference, first up we've got the Jaguares. They're in the lead. They actually got a bonus point. Stormers 2nd place. They also got a bonus point. The only difference between these two teams is the point difference. 3rd place we got the Sharks, who was victorious over the Bulls. We got the Bulls in 4th, and we got the Lions in 5th, obviously after the big loss against the Jaguares. So the player with the most points after round 1 is Miotti from the Jaguares. He scored 18 points in one game, so that's very, very impressive. I think you need to comment below, who do you think is going to be the highest point scorer after this weekend. I'm not saying this weekend only, I'm saying between week 1 and week 2, who's going to be the highest point scorer. I think it might be Bryce Hegarty from the Reds, the kicker there. Comment below what you think. So it's late afternoon here. I've had such a hectic day, that's why I haven't done this video, but not to worry, I will never drop you guys, I'll never disappoint. I do 2 videos a week, every Wednesday, every Sunday, and they all, you know, content that really matter, you know. So if I was you, I would subscribe now, turn on your notification, and I'll see you Sunday. Cheers.